Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 42. It was you have no idea how much fun it was trying to get this thing started here tonight.
Well, for people at home, everybody's at home. Nobody's here. What we've been doing before, how you've been seeing the show, it's pretty much like you've been seeing it right now through through Zoom, and I'm using OBS, which is a open source software that a lot of people use for broadcasting and streaming. Like if you ever watched anybody stream video games or what have you. So we had I had settings on here for that specific setup, and I would set everything else. I had all the sound equipment, at least on my end, at my house, and all John had was his laptop and headphone speaker and a microphone, that
AirPods,
he had, AirPods, and so it was fine. Now we're trying in person. We're actually in the same place, and we want to get back to. We would like to get back to video more consistently, more consistently, and at least for this time being in the same place, because we're sitting right across from each other. Hi, there's my hand, and where the settings were all messed up, and we're trying to record this, test and make sure everything was okay, and
literally took us probably
a half hour easily. And on here I have the input for the soundboard going and the desktop audio that I used to pick from him to pick up the Zoom audio. Obviously we're in the same place, but you don't need it. So doing the recordings, I had the Zoom audio that was getting picked up from his end, plus the input from the soundboard on my end over here, and it was just echoing, and we couldn't figure it. I couldn't figure it out, and a half hour just messing around with stuff. So finally, I troubleshoot, and finally I realized after much looks of why are you the way that you are from John over here, and laughter, I figured it out, and I think we're good.
Of laughter.
For your end, yeah. I was frustrated because every time I talk, whatever. If I probably lost a lot of people, but it was fun. So at least at the time being, we're going to continue this Zoom thing because you can see us and we're in the same place. So it's, I don't know, more interaction. We're going to try. The video, I don't know what we're going to do, but
this is more of just this is our current plan for now. We'll see how things go, but we're definitely are going to be doing especially with our NXT takeover review, we will probably try something similar to this, and as well with the weekly podcast. And before we begin, I would like to thank everyone who tuned in, as always, for our weekly Dynamite and NXT reaction shows. We went a little bit longer than we usually do on Wednesday night, just because there were some extra things that I wanted to bring up, but yeah, so we don't have too many things to discuss this week. It was a pretty light news week for the most part, outside of some for some specific politics that were going on, but
and the stuff that's unfortunately happening in
Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, that we don't want to. It's a delicate subject, to say the least, and I think John really made it clear that he didn't want to talk about it because that gets touchy, and we're going to leave that for other people and news outlets to talk about.
Yeah,
and
who are way more qualified to be.
I don't know about qualified, but
or just have way more knowledge about that stuff.
Yeah, and it's ticky tack. Well, there's a lot of I don't even know what to say, but we're gonna stay out of that because we don't need to get into that. So, anyways, if you don't mind, we want to talk about. We talked about this last week briefly, but now it's more information and it's more official. The NHL playoffs.
Right.
That we are moving into
phase 2. Right?
Phase 2.
Right.
Phase 1. If you didn't know, and I have a link. This is. I don't know if you have anything, but I have NBC Sports here up.
Yeah.
Same for you.
Same for me.
That shows all the phases and all the information and pretty much a nice condensed way. Phase 1 is pause and self-quarantine. Basically, when the NHL season went on, it stopped.
Suspension. Yeah.
And the season ended officially. It made it, I think, this past week official that the season's done. Through March 11th, technically, with the shutdown on 12th. The top 12 teams for each conference enter the 2014 playoff format that was approved, and the positioning based on points percentage. So right now in the East, we have Boston number 1, and when I name these are 1 through 12, I'm not going to say 2 of them. Boston, Tampa Bay, Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers. Those are your top 4. They're going to be in the round robin, and we'll get to that in a second. So 5 through 12, Pittsburgh Penguins, Carolina Hurricanes, New York Islanders, Toronto Maple Leafs, Columbus Blue Jackets, Florida Panthers, New York Rangers, and Montreal Canadiens. And then over in the West, 1 through 4 is St. Louis Blues, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, and Dallas Stars. And then 5 through 12, Edmonton Oilers, Nashville Predators, Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames, Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, Arizona Coyotes, and Chicago Blackhawks. So there's your 12 in each conference. So we just mentioned Phase 1. Phase 2, what we're in right now, is non-contact skating for players in small groups at team facilities. The hopeful starting date for Phase 2 is early June. So maybe sometime in the next week or two, we should. I don't think it's been officially.
Actually,
was it officially?
Well, actually, we got an actual update today. And this was from Elliot Friedman. And I believe he's from TSN. I believe
TSN or Hockey Night and whatever.
Yeah.
Hockey Night in Canada.
Well, basically,
I think it's the same thing.
Basically, he said that entering Phase 3 would not start earlier than July 11th.
Yeah. Well, Phase 2, and then Phase 3 is formal training camp starting no earlier than the first half.
Right.
Of July. So we have to wait till beginning of July for training camps. So most of all of June is going to be new non-contact skating. Get everything, and you gotta need to do this. Obviously, unfortunately, it's going to take long, but at least something's happening to get players back into the swing of things. Because obviously, before you get in the training camp, because you can't just. Bam.
Well, especially too, they haven't done anything since
March.
Early March. So we basically had a full off season. If you really think about it.
It's going to be 2.5 months by the time they get back.
So like I mean,
pretty much a full off season.
And you
thinking about it,
and you figure that the postseason probably won't end until the middle of August. So I gotta think if that's the case, then we're probably not getting the start of the season until January, for the 2021 season. Essentially at that point, which you gotta figure there probably are only going to be 40 games for that season, unless they're dead set on extending that. But I gotta think that it's going to be a shortened season for the 2021 season.
Or something I don't know,
because I'm not sure how you're going to actually make that work.
You would probably because you can't push it. You can't push it back because then you're running into the same thing.
Yeah.
So it might have to be a shortened.
I think we'll probably get a 40-game season, 20 home games, 20 away games, something
or 60. 60 games.
I mean, the only thing I can think of, you might extend the season a little bit just to try and accommodate that. But then it will just be for the following season. But like that's going to be really taxing on the players, especially if that team or especially when a team wins that Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
that's going to be rough.
And so we had phase 3, like we said, training camp starting no earlier than the 1st of July. And then phase 4 is the 2014 playoff, including seeding games, playing rounds, must still be determined. The other thing, the big thing that we don't know and the details are still being worked out, is the 2 hub cities. So one city in the east, one city in the west, holding all the teams.
Yeah. Isn't there like being considered about 10 right now?
Yes, and the list is Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Las Vegas, L.A., Minneapolis, St. Paul, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Vancouver. And being selfish, it kind of be nice if it was here in Pittsburgh. And recently the governor said sporting events without fans, like practices and stuff, is okay in the yellow and green phase, which Allegheny's in yellow, and hopefully maybe tomorrow is if there's news for green. And I think the one thing that may fall into our advantage, even though it's not a competition, but is the hospitals around here are well known, UPMC. So
number one, I'm pretty sure.
So they're
in the whole country too. So that's if I had to guess,
that has something to do with it.
That probably has something to do with
because I don't know if you're going to have in Toronto. I'm just looking on the east, Columbus. Yeah, on the west. I wouldn't know. I mean, with practice facilities, it says each conference is assigned a hub city with secure hotels, arena, practice facilities, and in-market transportation. I mean, technically we have. I mean, I don't know if this is probably not exclusive to us, obviously, but the Lemieux Rink practice facility up local city in Cranberry, that you can have teams stay around there, practice there, or practice at the arena. I mean, there's places to do it, so that can work. Also, things to note here: teams will be limited to 50 personnel in the hub city, with only a small number of support staff permitted to enter the event areas. Which, I mean, you don't need everybody in central personnel. Obviously, players, coaches, athletic trainers, equipment trainers, equipment staff. That's, I don't know what normally would be, but that's probably around essential. Timing and sites will be determined at a future date and will be dependent on COVID-19 conditions, testing ability, and government regulations. Like I said, just at least for Pittsburgh, that's the only place we can really talk about since we're here. So at least in Western PA, the cases are very limited. We're slowly reopening. sports are allowed to be open in yellow and green, according to the governor, and you have one of the best, if not the best, hospital infrastructures in the United States. So that helps because you need testing. They're basically right there. You have UPMC, you got Pitt campus not too far away, which has UPMC hospitals there. It's really just right up the road, right? It's not that far. So that helps. And then up in Cranberry, you still have there's a UPMC thing right there. There's a hospital thing. So I think the infrastructure, if you will, of Pittsburgh facilities works to help in its favor there, if you want to consider it in its favor. So we'll see what happens. Real quick, getting into the format here, and there's a lot of, not controversy, but debate on if this is fair or not. So the top 4 teams in each conference have to play in round robin to determine first round seeding. And in regular season, overtime rules are in effect. So basically, round robin, everybody plays everybody once. So there's 4, each team plays 3 games, and I guess best record points in that, probably points. I'd probably go with points, and then head-to-head for tiebreakers gets the seeding, which, okay. And then the qualifying round, those teams play in a best-of-5 series to advance to the first round, and in those is playoff overtime rules. So full periods, not like the round robin when it's 5 minutes, 3-on-3, and then shootout. So you're going to have, before we get into those matches, then the first and second round, format seeding versus bracket, and then series lengths to be determined. And the conference finals and the Stanley Cup final is best of 7, like it always has been. So right now, the best of 5, the qualifying rounds, you're not even technically in the playoffs. You're playing in like the
NCAA tournament.
March Madness. So you have number 5 Pittsburgh versus number 12 Canadians, who point percentage are 500, and they possibly can make the playoffs technically. Hurricanes versus the Rangers, Islanders versus the Panthers, number 8 Maple Leafs versus number 9 the Blue Jackets. So, and then before we get into it onto the West, number 5 Oilers versus number 12 Blackhawks, number 6 Predators versus 11 Coyotes, 7 Vancouver versus 10 Wild, and 8 Flames versus 9 Jets. My opinion, I wish they could just take the playoffs, take the standings where they are when the season ended, unfortunately so, and just do a regular playoffs there instead of doing these round robin games and best of 5 even.
It's a mess right now, and I'll preference by saying, I am glad that there is going to be
absolutely
hockey back. I'm not mad about that, but this whole playoff format is unnecessarily confusing and just ridiculous. If we're being perfectly honest here, and I just don't think that it's really necessary, And like, we were at what, 60 plus games when the season got suspended.
Yes.
And if
basically almost over,
if teams are mad, be like, look, you were 60 plus games in, and you had a chance to be in a certain spot, and yes, that might be somewhat unfair, but I'm like to make things less confusing, I just don't know why you just don't do the teams who are already in. Maybe you do a qualifying round for some teams to maybe get a chance to play another team to get in as a like wild card, but like it's just
with that, there's no matter what you do, there's always going to be teams that were almost in the playoffs and just didn't make it.
Right.
I feel like you just take the 8 from each conference, you do 16 teams, and the only other teams that would have a gripe or like ones that are a couple handful of points out. But and obviously nobody knew that the season was going to end when you start the season, or end prematurely when you start the season because of all this. But like all the wins before matter, and now you can have Montreal, who couldn't even sniff the playoffs.
Right.
If somehow they get lucky for 3 games, if I don't know, Carey Price comes and just stands on his head, which could
very well happen.
Which can very well happen, but I think Pittsburgh was 2-1 against them, and I think Pittsburgh has a better team. I'm trying not to be biased, but on paper, just look at the record.
No, I mean, it's just fact from a talent perspective. Everywhere from probably outside of the goaltending, everywhere else from the coaching, with their forwards,
the
depth, you name it, there clearly are a better team.
So, and then for some, like, if Pittsburgh does lose and then Montreal gets into the first round, and that's a place we've obviously should have been, depending what happened the rest of the season, we could have even been top 4. I think we weren't that far out of Philadelphia's spot. That's regardless, we're still in it. But I think this was for something overly complicated to get 24 teams for whatever reason, because we normally would never do this. So somebody who's 12th is not going to sniff the playoffs. They wouldn't be upset. Maybe I can see I would have been almost okay with if you open one more. Well, I don't even know how that would be possible. I take it back. Just keep it how it was. Making it more complicated.
Yeah, and that's been
round robin and best of 5, and that goes on at the same time, and you're gonna have like 50,000. I don't know what the schedule's going to be like. You're gonna have like 50. Like you have one city, and I think the round robin is gonna go at the same time as the best of 5. So you're gonna have games all day. You're gonna have like morning, afternoon,
you're probably
evening.
You're probably are gonna have to if you want to really
like
have this thing move
11, because the damn first playing round is gonna take enough time. That's why it's a waste of time. And I don't know if the thing behind it is to get your feet wet, but round robin, those teams can lose. They're still in the playoffs. They're not out. They're in it. Yes, your seeding is different and home ice, but there's no home ice anymore. Everybody's playing in the same spot with no fans. So the seeding does not have that much of an effect now. The only thing is that you're playing with one's playing with 8 or whatever to start in the traditional way. You're playing lesser teams per se, but that doesn't really guarantee anything. So does the seeding really matter? Like if you lose, you're still 4. I mean, you're still in. You're not possibly losing. Like number 8. Who's number 8 on East? Toronto is playing the Blue Jackets, who would be out based on tiebreakers. Blue Jackets could come in and just like that's our playoff spot, and upset Toronto, and Toronto's playoff woes continue, right? Or you can have any of them. Right, so 8 and 9. Islanders 7, Panthers 10. That's 3 spots. Islanders had 588 point percentage. The Panthers 565, and I don't have the wins and stuff, but like anything can happen in best of 5. So yeah,
especially in this sport where there are way more upsets that happen in probably outside of the NCAA tournament. I would say that there's probably no other sport where we see more upsets where we see more upsets where a bottom seed can definitely be
look at the Kings,
like number 1 seed. You know,
look at the Kings when they won their first back in 2011.
Hell, like
8 seed
last year when a Tampa, Pittsburgh, Washington, pretty much all of the hyped up really good teams last year, they all lost.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, so it was just like it's just one of those sports like
or that. Back when 17 when we won, but I think that was the year the Preds, they had a decent team, but they played first round against the Blackhawks, and Blackhawks were but just that series, the Blackhawks were perennial for a while playoff teams, and they were always good. They got swept by Nashville. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, and then I think they faced Anaheim, which that was a dog fight. Yeah,
was that 6?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that went 6 games. And they even said when the Pens faced them in the Stanley Cup Finals that they were still really hurting from that series just because it was just such a dog fight.
They lost. Was it Johansson in the finals?
Yep.
So I mean,
which was a really really big loss for them because I believe he was their best scorer or one of their most consistent.
I mean, that helped us. I mean, the only thing that hurt them back then was Rainey playing in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Except maybe those first 2 games.
I tell you, like, I'm not sure about you, Matt, but I was so annoyed by their fans though that whole entire series. Like, they were just like, they were so pompous and like everything, and too with NBC just pumping them up every single game was driving me insane. But I mean, like, I tell you, just like, and we're kind of getting off topic here.
It's a podcast,
but it's just like just like thinking of that makes me really miss hockey right now.
And the good thing about these playoffs is they do come before anything else.
Yep.
NBA that people are gonna watch. You're gonna have a bigger audience, hopefully, for hockey's sake during these playoffs.
Yeah, because I think that would be right in the middle of NFL training camps and everything. Basically when the heart of everything is happening.
The finals and stuff. But
yeah.
when it starts, look at I think everybody's really wanting sports back, obviously, some form of sports, and we've got a little bit drip drop everywhere. Look at, and I forget the exact rating, but the match 2 between Tiger Payton versus Mickelson and Brady.
Yeah.
I think that had I don't know who said it.
It was like
a 5.3 rating. That's like the highest.
Hell,
on whatever platform that in years.
UFC 248 or 249 whatever that did, I believe, close to 700,000 pay-per-view buys, and I believe that if you trust what the Observer says, supposedly is AEW's highest grossing pay-per-view. So like, people want live they want live content. Like they're craving for it. It's just like everyone has been in isolation.
The NFL draft was highly viewed.
Yeah, well, yeah, think.
Yes.
Think. I mean, Jesus Christ. I think from all 3 days that they did over like 50 million viewers or something
total.
Yeah, something insane like that.
Yeah. So the NHL can really benefit with this, depending on if the NBA does anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any news about that?
What, as far
NBA returning? Are they still?
No. I'll be very surprised if anything is going on. The only thing I've heard about the NBA is like a Cuban trying to buy the Oakland hot dog shop, which apparently PETA wants him to turn that into a vegan hot dog shop.
What? What? When did this happen?
I read something about it yesterday. I'm pretty sure. I'm like, that sounds awful. A vegan hot dog shop.
Damn it, PETA! It's gonna ruin everything.
Like no, and I guarantee you that people in freaking Oakland would just riot about that.
No.
What the? That's a terrible idea. But
what about crap? I was going to ask.
The NBA.
Oh no, MLB returning.
Oh,
I
don't think that it's going to happen, man. I think between both of the players and the owners, and if you saw what Scott Boras said, who is baseball's super agent, basically told every single one of his clients and encouraged all of the players to stay on the ground, do not accept any pay cuts. And I think that baseball is getting their freaking egos in the way now because supposedly if they don't run a season at all, that they're going to lose over $4 billion with a billion dollars this year for not playing any games. So the question has to be
about money.
Would you rather be losing billions or only millions?
Neither.
I mean,
millions if I had to choose.
And I think they're going to have to swallow their pride or something for a season, because there is no reason why no one should be playing games right now. Like, to me, they can definitely play games. Like, there are definitely hub cities that can accommodate, whether
several hub cities,
right? Whether it's in either such as Texas, Arizona, Florida, like whatever, maybe even Georgia too.
Heck, you could maybe here, but whatever.
But at the end of the day, Matt, it's about the bottom dollar, and basically, with the owners, they want the players to take a pay cut so that they are not going to be losing as much money. And their whole thing is, well, if we can't allow fans in here.
Find some tweets here that somebody.
Yeah, I saw you. I think you retweeted a thread of Jeff Passan's of ESPN, who is a very good.
This is from @JeffPassan on the Twitter. So follow him. And I'll probably have a link to that as well, so you could see. So he said here, this was a day ago as of this recording, and we're recording on the 28th of here on Thursday. So he goes, every dollar a player is due would be paid at a certain percentage. The higher the dollar gets, the lower those percentages go. All the salaries for the season will be prorated too, meaning they would be based on playing 82 of the scheduled 162 games. And the scale is in the proposal is this: from 0 to 563,500, which the league minimum. So from there, you paid at 90% of that. 563,501 to 1 million, 72.5, $1 million in 1 to 5 million, 50%, 5 million in 1 to 10 million, 40, 10 million 1 to 20, at 30, and 20 million 1 and up at 20%. So he had an example. Mm-hmm. Say a player is called up from the minor leagues. His original salary would be the minimum of $5,630, $563,500. His prorated salary would be $285,228. So that is out of, the shortened season. Mm-hmm. He would be due to make 90% of that, which would be $256,706, and he can make an additional $5,512 in postseason bonuses if the team would make it. Now, for the harder one, which was confusing me for some reason because it doesn't make sense compared to the minor league. Mm-hmm. So if he takes Mike Trout, Mike Trout, his 2020 salary is $37,666,666. So the devil's money right there.
Between him and Garrett Cole, can you imagine?
Yes. Now prorated with 82 games, it's only $19,065,843. He would get 256. See, I didn't know how this makes. It was broken down like this. He would get 256,706 for his first 563,500 earned. Oh, okay. So, that's stupid. They break it down each pay. Oh, what? 160,105 for the second tier. $1,012,346 for the third and fourth. And there's other stuff. I'm not gonna read numbers. Mm-hmm. And then the total would be $5,748,577. So he goes from making $37 million and a half, give or take, for the entire 2020 season. $19 million for out of 82 games to just shy of $6 million with all this pay cut stuff. So, yeah, I don't know how that all works out. He should have just been paid 20. He should just been paid 20% of the $37 million and not of every little thing being taxed, and he's only making $5. Now, anything else did he say here before I go to my?
Well,
it's a lot. You can read. You can read it, but like the thing everybody was saying is, at least fans, is like, oh, they're making millions. A little, they're still making $5 million. It's still more than everybody. Majority of Americans are making. That's one side of the argument. Other is, well, players at the contracts are earning this, and the owners being greedy and whatnot. And I obviously see both sides of this. So, yeah, I don't know. So, if there is no baseball, I think the fans are going to really sour on baseball, at least in the foreseeable future.
Like, to me, I think MMA is starting, if it hasn't already passed baseball by. I think it's pretty close right now. Just as far as and even just in day-to-day talking points in the media, to me is talked about way more, especially on ESPN, who is obviously in a pretty big contract with the UFC, and we'll kind of segue into that here in a sec here. But as far as as far as there being an actual season, unless something changes here where they can come to some sort of a compromise, which I don't see happening, just because with so many egos in play, especially with the owners, and the players are not willing to budge, and as we have seen in the past, Matt, with this players association, they are really stubborn, and because I would say out of the four sports, football, baseball, hockey, and basketball, that with baseball is probably the most powerful one, because they essentially got everything that they ever wanted from like guaranteed contracts and everything else with that. Like, they just I just don't see how this is going to get resolved. And
if you wait too long, because it's already going to be June basically.
Yep.
Basically when this podcast comes out.
Yep.
Well, a day or two away.
Yep.
If you wait too long, you get into June. Okay, let's say, hypothetically, we middle of June, you get an agreement, whatever. You got to have a spring training, right? Because there really wasn't any. Maybe there was pitchers and catchers and people starting to report back in February, early March, but that quickly got shut down, I believe. I don't remember the exact timeline. So you're gonna have time. You need time for players to work out, and play some games. So that takes that's gonna take maybe at least a month or so. Right? Give or take. Yep. So you're in middle of July, late July, whatever. You start the season, let's say end of July, early August. Right. Baseball wraps up the regular season by like the end of September, and the playoffs get in gear in October. And so you're telling me you're going to have 3 months, let's say charitable right there, 3 months of baseball. Right. How many games are you going to play? Not 82.
Not even close.
60? 90?
Right.
Well, wait a minute. Because you're going to have rest days in probably a month. Something 60-some games, regular season. Right. So basically, it's not even half, a third of a season. Is it at that point? Do we get to the point of is it worth it?
I think
compared to wanting to really see sports to is. I mean, at the point is the season why play.
I think for both hockey and basketball, you can definitely make that argument that it's pretty pointless to even continue a season right now, I feel. But as far as baseball, like, to me, there's still way more time for that there.
Well, what the difference with hockey and NBA is they have played the majority season. You can get into the playoffs. With baseball, you can't do that, obviously, because you haven't played any games. But if you get in the middle of July, I don't know how the negotiations start. If you get in the middle of July and you got 60 games, a shortened season. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is it worth it? I mean, I would still love to see it, shortened season or not.
Honestly,
and start playoffs on time.
I mean, for me, like, I'm at the point where I'm starting to get more and more to the point where I wouldn't care if we had the season or not. Like, for me, I need football. Like, to me, I need football, and I need fighting, and I need hockey. Like, to me, those are the three sports that I personally need, that I personally want. As far as baseball, it's like cool if it happens. It's something live, but man, like, I have a lot of friends who are diehard baseball fans who are suffering without the game. But
I mean, yeah.
And to if you recall from the strike, I think it was in '94, right? Where
Sure.
where baseball was really struggling after that, and they fell right with the home run race that happened in '98, which basically saved baseball because the game was really struggling at that point. But like you gotta wonder if a full season is canceled, like how much is overall interest in the game going to suffer? I mean, it's a valid thing to ask right now.
Valid. The only thing I could see that goes their way next season, if there is no season, is that depending on the behind the scenes stuff that happens, obviously negotiations that are public, that the longing for baseball, missing it, will help them with the interest. Hey, the season's back. We have baseball back. Stadiums get filled for opening days and whatnot. Because baseball, not in the top, it is still a top sport. You can argue, definitely not one. You can argue 2 or 3, per se, in 2 or 3 compared to the NBA. I still believe baseball is relatively 2, and you could make an argument, obviously, with that. And
I think it's pretty clear. Football is it's definitely 1. It's not even close.
No.
Not even worth even debating for. When you generate over 50 million people in 3 days for the NFL draft, I think that's all. That's all.
When a draft, when you sit around watching people's names get called, and they're like leaps and bounds about that's But go ahead.
To me, it's like 1 NFL, 2 NBA, 3 baseball, 4 hockey right now. I think
definitely hockey on the bottom.
Yeah,
you can
at least in
America.
In America. However, in Canada, hockey is basically football for them. Like that is never going to change.
You don't mess with the hockey in Canada.
You don't mess with the hockey. And like it was so clear because if you recall with the NBA finals last year, and where Toronto was in the finals, and what was still number 1 being talked about, the Stanley Cup Finals were still being talked about over the NBA Finals, and I believe Stephen A. Smith called out Toronto for that, and what I dude, it's Canada. Like
welcome to Canada.
Welcome to Canada.
That's like putting I don't even know a football team, an NFL team in I don't know, somewhere in Europe, and in the World Cup's going on. Soccer, at least how it's called here, is everywhere else. It's soccer.
And as far as like fighting goes, and where that is clearly number 1 in Brazil, I think fighting is definitely 1. Soccer is probably 2, or they're really close because
soccer, I think, is I don't know. I'm not there. I would guess soccer is still number 1, but fighting is probably way up there now. In recent there, fighting's almost like a niche thing in a way. Like, it's not up there with the major sport, but it's
definitely growing though. It's growing because especially just from
it's like in the background.
Yeah, I mean when there is a big time fight like a Conor fight or a John Jones fight, it's going to get some talk. But obviously, if you're talking about the lower cards in this and this will finally segue us into some fight talk. But we got some more news as far as that. Basically, MMA events can now start happening now. In the state of Nevada. And I believe we got the confirmation a few days ago that the commission there has now approved for Dana White and the UFC to be running events consistently at their Apex Center, which is pretty much their WWE Performance Center. So we're going to be essentially seeing events there from now until we finally with the crowds are allowed back then. So I mean, you knew that this was going to be coming soon, especially with everything opening up, and you know that's still the fight capital of the world there, Matt. And I do think as soon as Dana finds some city, some state that's going to take a chance and say, hey, we are having crowds back, he's going there, whether it's Texas, Maine, New Hampshire, South Dakota, wherever, even if it's in a pretty low market, I don't think he's going to exactly care. I mean, like if there is one thing about Dana White,
is this just for no crowds at the point?
Yeah.
If there's no crowds, it doesn't matter where you fight. Are you saying? Or were you just saying when there was crowds coming back?
Like once they start accepting crowds back, he will go essentially anywhere to basically have that, and with them being sanctioned. But I believe he said that Fight Island is supposedly happening in July, so hopefully within the next few weeks we'll get something on that. And I believe that they just applied for a trademark I think a few days ago, UFC C or something like that. It's apparently a joke because John Oliver apparently took a jab at like Dana White and the company for basically putting on events and stuff. And basically Dana just called him out and said, hey dude, we tested over like basically laying out all of the specifics, and outside of Jacare Souza and his two coaches, no one else tested positive. So like that's where that whole thing comes from. But I'm just excited that we are going to be having consistent cards now, whether with or without fans, because I think it's pretty clear, Matt, these without crowds work way better than say with wrestling, where it's nowhere near as awkward, and it's pretty surreal just seeing just the actual impact of these strikes. I feel are pretty compelling there, don't you think?
Yeah, and I kind of want to see sports without fans, at least for this year, because somebody made a point that I read a newspaper article. I think it was Chris Muller in a local newspaper, local radio personality. Anywho, saying that argument that of the piped-in crowd noise, which if you don't see that there's no crowd there, it's okay. But his point was saying that you can hear all the little nuances that you normally wouldn't hear.
Oh yeah.
Like for UFC, as we're talking about, you can hear the coaches and all the hits more clearly than if there was a actual crowd there. And if you take hockey, go back to hockey for a second, you can hear all the talking and the players pass me the puck, and the trash talking and all that stuff that you normally don't hear unless you see like NHL Productions, the mic'd up thing afterwards. But hearing it during the game live, you're probably gonna hear swearing, but that would be pretty cool.
Hell, you heard when we were watching UFC, and basically every single fire was like hearing Anik, Rogan, and like DC, and DC was critiquing him, and they could actually hear him, and they were actually kind of applying what like he was what
he was saying.
It's like it's so weird, and too like it was just so funny with like Rogan. He's going like and it's so weird just because typically when like he says this, the crowd is just freaking losing their damn
so
minds.
You can't hear anything, and at least on the pro wrestling side, real quick,
right,
with no arenas, you can hear at least the wrestlers in the ring. You can hear the trash talking, and that opens up. Instead of, obviously, when you're in an arena, you don't hear anything. If you're in the arena watching it live, you're kind of just from afar, just seeing the moves and the actions. At least on TV, you hear a little bit, but not a lot. But in here, you hear everything, and it adds another dimension that can help people, and it's an interesting layer to watch. But that's a whole different ball game with the crowd. But with other sports, I wouldn't mind, at least this season, don't pipe in anything, because it's like I know it's fake, I know it's not there, we're not stupid. Keep in, the thought process behind that is to keep make it seem like it's real.
But
just give me silence.
By the way, since we're kind of on that topic, what do you think on like Raw when they put all of the plexiglass separating the NXT people from each other? Did you think that was kind of silly or unnecessary? Because I know from everyone that I've seen have pretty much hated it, felt like it just looks really silly.
I don't know. I get why they're doing it for protection, even though everybody's tested.
Right.
So in a way, it doesn't make sense. But at the same time,
that was my thing. I was like, why would you need this if everyone's tested? They're like, especially in like Florida,
Right. Well, if everybody's tested, then it should be okay. To me, it didn't take away from anything. It really wasn't distracting to me.
At least there was like some noise, which
we're better this week.
Right. It's just like
for Raw, and make that 10 times better. And I know I said in the past that I am more focused with stuff in the ring, but I never said that the sound doesn't help.
It helps, like which I didn't understand. I'm like, Dynamite is presenting to you the formula on how to do these shows. Even everyone knows there is no crowd, but pipe in or no, sorry, don't pipe in noise.
No, that's all that crap.
Yeah. But like have some people, screaming or something. Just it like adds to the atmosphere there. And we can only help them.
And it's fun to have the performers in NXT that are not per se on TV week in and week out there. That's fine, because if you had like Adam Cole there, that kind of doesn't look good. So you have the performing. It's fine. It's the plexiglass. I'm like, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, the show sucked because there was plexiglass.
No, like that to me is the least of their worries.
It's the least of anybody's worries if there's plexiglass. The only good thing is there could be, throw people in the plexiglass spots there.
Yeah, I mean, like
it adds that. The weird thing will be not if they have, plexiglass now, is that if we do return to normal crowds, do they put the plexiglass up there? Because
I mean, like I could see WWE doing that. I don't see AEW doing that.
No,
I can't see that happen.
Regardless, but if you do crowds, you obviously you can't test everybody that walks into that building right off to be able to buy a ticket to get in. I don't know how you're going to do that. That plexiglass there would be good for those front row people to protect your wrestlers, because if they're walking around outside and somebody coughs and they have somehow are sick or whatever and they don't know, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. I mean, what have you? It's something. I mean, after a while, you're gonna get used to it, and it shouldn't take away anything that's happening on the TV, because if that's distracting, then you're not paying attention to the thing you're supposed to be. And other people, I think we talked about, is that gonna the fan view is gonna look bad, but people go to hockey games all the time and want that ice. It at least for a while they can do the plexiglass. I think it's fine.
I think what we're gonna be seeing initially is like basically seating and social distancing where you're gonna see people 6 feet apart.
Yeah, and they might not be right up against the barricade.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen. But. So,
I mean, I don't think there's a in terms of, and I hate making this. The AEW versus WWE thing, plexiglass or not, I think if WWE does it, I think it's at least optic-wise, it's a good idea. Health-wise, it's a good idea. If AEW doesn't do it, okay, what else are they going to do? They could obviously social distance 6 feet apart, not sit up against the barricade.
I think
they could do that. Yeah.
To me, that seems pretty likely, and I think I read something earlier this week that WWE is starting to at least plan out a touring.
They're at least pointing things.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to be like up next week live at Madison Square Garden, but I think they're putting the plan in place, and who knows, maybe AEW's doing it. We don't know.
Sure.
But in case something happens, you don't want to be like. I mean, it's all preliminary talks here. So
I'm pretty sure that with both companies that they want to have a SummerSlam and all out in front of a crowd,
or in crowds in general. Yeah,
that's their hope, anyways. But it's going to depend how fast that everything opens up.
Yeah.
And I just saw a tweet referencing Dr. Fauci, right? Fauci.
Yeah,
that basically he implied, and I swear you see different things every day, where he said, hey, a second wave may never even come, and that we could all just be wasting our times right now, and the economy is just getting worse and worse, and unemployment unemployment just continues to rise.
And thing here, like everybody's like flipping back and forth, like, oh, there's going to be a second wave. Now there's not going to be a second wave.
I don't know who to believe anymore.
and the thing there is, things obviously can change, and when you find out more, obviously when you go from the beginning of when all this happened to now, there was information we thought stuff and symptoms, and it can't be passed from person to person, or now it can be, and you should wear a mask, shouldn't wear a mask, and nope, you got to wear a mask, and now it's required, at least here in PA. you have to wear a mask going into stuff. And I bought today. We got Gyros, a local establishment down the street from me, and I'm walking to pick them up, and as I'm literally, it's right around the corner. As I'm out in the corner about to walk, I realized, oh, I don't have a mask. Gotta walk back up the street, get in my car and grab the mask before I go back in because everything's required. So that's the new.
It won't serve you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I know for me, like, I just went to a state store, which is basically a like an alcohol distributor, and they basically have people waiting outside, and like pretty much whoever comes out, a security guard will allow
one more person.
Yeah, it's just that's pretty much life right now.
Yeah, and I haven't really gone to much places besides the only places I've really been to is golf courses,
like Sheets.
I don't know Sheets.
Or as you call it, shits.
Not gonna edit it out. Screw it.
We'll
keep it in. Leave it in. I'm already taking notes of for
leave
clips.
it in, pal.
Leave it in. We'll do it live and leave it in. Screw it. I'm taking notes for clips, but like Sheets, like a gas station. The people on other side of the state, like a Wawa. Excuse me. Sheets, golf courses, driving ranges. I haven't been to like a Walmart since they imposed that you got to walk in the certain way and have you noticed LA Giant Eagle you can only enter one way. No, I haven't been to a Giant Eagle.
Yeah. When we had our fire last weekend, I went and got some firewood and Cranberry, and we're like, oh, you can only enter and like exit on one side of the
building. So you have the two entrances. You only can go in one and out the other.
So basically, I had to push my cart basically right in the middle of traffic because hey, here's the entranceway and like here's all of the firewood here.
You.
So I'm like, oh, cool, thanks guys. Let's just put all of this on the opposite side from everything else here. Like, cool, but luckily, just like
I haven't.
Yeah, but it just like dude. It's the little things like that just really irritate me.
And maybe little local establishments pick up food, but I haven't been to like a Walmart, like I said, to do stuff because I don't want to. Because before they were only going to let like a certain amount of people in, and you have to wait in line. I was like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. When I go to Walmart, and obviously it's a small price to pay for everything, but like. When I go to places like Walmart, I'm going in. I know what I want. I'm not going to wait in line. Nope. I'm going to get in, buy my crap, go to the self-checkout, beep, beep, boop, pay, out in the car, home. And there's one conveniently not too far away from where we live. So if I need anything, back when it was open 24 hours, or at least late night, if I needed something in the evening that I was like, oh, crap, I need this for tomorrow, I can go. Now, I don't want to wait in line or have to follow a certain path around. I kind of want to go just to see it, just to say I did it. Like, that's a big accomplishment or anything, but, like, for an experience. And I don't know. I would have to go in, like, in the evening. Well, I don't know when to go. Maybe in the morning when it's not busy. I don't know when. But, yeah, just to go and see, because eventually I think I need to buy something. Something I know I'm running low and I can't remember. I don't know if it's
absolutely,
but yeah, it's going to be interesting. So hopefully tomorrow, at least for our state, we get to have more green counties.
I hope so too. But okay. I wanted to talk about 2 more things before we end the podcast. There was episode 3 of the Undertaker's Last Ride documentary. Matt, what did you think about this week's episode? This one was mostly focusing on the relationship with the Undertaker, with Triple H and like Shawn Michaels, and basically Undertaker some Saudi matches, which they were with Rusev, and
Triple H by himself, and then
that god awful DX versus Brothers of Destruction match where Triple H tore his pec pretty much 30 seconds into the match, and that was
Sean's like, oh crap.
He was like I came back for this.
I
came back for this here.
I thought it was an interesting look on that time period with after his quote unquote success match after like Punk and retirement last match per se with Roman, just that stuff that
he's finally healthy,
healthy, and he can go, and if McMahon wanted him to do something, he did. He had that Rusev match and once in Australia, and then another with Triple H, and they really got into his 4 matches with Shawn and Triple H at Mania's 25 through 28 or 29. No. Yeah, through 28. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because 27 and 28 was against Triple H, and 29 was against Punk.
Yeah, and then 25, 26 with Shawn. So that interesting dynamic and like this behind the scenes that we really didn't see before much. After Shawn's retirement.
And Undertaker's obsession with cards, I found pretty funny there.
Yeah, and when they were doing the promo for I send that to you.
Yeah.
On Twitter with promo leading up to.
That was pretty funny there.
I died. They could have fun and be serious, but it was very interesting. At least when they got to that tag match, how candid everybody was. How it was just like, you go in thinking, okay, you have this talent. How can it be bad? And about 3/4 of the people on there wrestle once in a while, so it's not the same. Especially with Shawn, was retired for several years. He hasn't really wrestled. Or he hasn't wrestled in several years.
Since 2010. Yeah.
So you have that, even though he can probably, it's like riding a bike for him probably, maybe. And then you had, unfortunately, Triple H tear was a quad.
A pec. A pec. He pretty much could not. He could not move. I believe his like right arm. Pretty
something
much.
Like so. Everything that could happen happened. Yeah, and then you had the, and I never watched this. I'm just going by what I saw here. Then you had Kane's mask fell off.
Yeah. I saw.
Like how the hell does that happen?
Yeah, it's just.
And then that pedigree didn't look good. Was it the pedigree didn't look good?
Yeah.
Some move. I think it was the pedigree. Yeah, because. Yeah, like everything wrong that could happen happened. So it was just like one of those matches that it happened, and unfortunately it happens to everybody. Everybody's gonna have a stinker. I imagine if everything didn't go like that, it would have been half decent. At least for them, everybody down in Australia. Everybody thinks it's the Saudi, no, it was Australia show. I believe, yeah. Was it, I would think it was Australia. Super Showdown. Or was that the Saudi?
No, Saudi show was the Brothers of Destruction.
Okay. Yeah, the first two, the Rusev and Triple H, were Australia shows, I think. Yeah. Yeah, which I forgot they did Australia. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was an interesting look behind there, and then I think this Bless you. And I think this week is the result after that, and was it I can't
episode
remember.
4 actually doesn't drop until June 14th now, so we got a few weeks.
Crap, that's right. Damn, why is there all this pause?
They gotta drag it out, pal.
I hate around the holidays because that screws everything up, and no, it's not a holiday thing, but you gotta just put it on Sunday. Damn it, like any other like shows like on network cable that this week or took a week, it screws everything off. It's like, we don't have sports now. You're taking away our damn TV.
They have a part 2 of the Armstrong 30 for 30 on Sunday night.
I gotta watch the first one.
Yeah, that was really really good, by the way. Like you find out how much of a freaking asshole that Armstrong was. Essentially his whole entire life, his battles, and basically just fully, I mean, that he was doping, his battle with cancer which was pretty interesting. His battle just trying to even get any sponsors to basically have him ride in the Tour de France, going through depression when he came back from overcoming cancer. It's just like it's a pretty interesting story, and very good. And
I keep forgetting it.
So part 2 is this week, and they are
Sunday.
Yeah, and they're still doing 30-for-30s on Bruce Lee, and from the 1998 home run race, which I'm really interested in.
See, I'm interested in that because I was still too young.
That was basically my first year really into baseball.
I remember because I played baseball when I was young, and I kind of watched, but not really. I don't remember watching much. Like now older, it was more watching religiously, like almost every game, at least Pirate games. But back then, like I knew about both Sosa and McGuire, and I kind of like the Cardinals too back then. I remember, like those were like the 2 big names everybody was talking about,
and especially with that like 98 Yankees team, which was insanely talented. I think had like 3 or 4
I don't know who played on 98.
98 team?
No, I don't know who played on 98 team.
Jeter, Posada, David Wells, Roger Clemens. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, sorry. Roger Clemens was on the Toronto Blue Jays at that point, but Dave Cone and all.
I don't know.
Yeah, like that. Well, into I had this VHS tape of like that team, and I played it over and over.
Yes, back 90s stuff. I'm honestly not familiar with, because sports at that time ain't
you freaking sports. Newbie.
I was not really up to that in the late 90s. Because how was it? Like 98. Okay,
I was
6.
Yeah,
I was playing. What the hell grade was I in? Kindergarten, first or second grade?
That's understandable.
I was, at least in first grade, I'm associated with Pokemon and video games.
So was I too, but I also loved baseball as well.
I liked baseball too, but I wasn't into. I wasn't watching TV. It was just video games and sports and cartoons.
Same here, but I also loved Z Sports, and how we got to this talking about the Undertaker.
Well, we transitioned to 30 to 30 for Lance.
How this happened? As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we get easily sidetracked.
It's okay. It's a podcast. We're just
we get easily
shooting the breeze.
But basically, as we said, a really good episode. There wasn't really too much else that was really talked about outside of the the Saudi stuff and
we're back to Taker now.
Yeah, Taker's relationship with Shawn and Triple H, which we pretty much know everything about that. And I think the main takeaway here, Matt, is that the Undertaker is obsessed in finding that one singular match to where he can finally just finally ride off into the sunset, which
or into the darkness.
Yeah, or into the darkness, and he's still searching for that. So who knows? Maybe that match that he had with AJ might have been that one where he can finally say, "Okay, I can finally hang him up." Because to me,
I doubt it, honestly.
Yeah, but like I think a pretty consistent thing is being told, though. He loves AJ Styles, like,
and a traditional match might be the way to go out.
I think that's what they're playing for, because, and you said this on last week's podcast, AJ was like really hinting at small Taker things, so you gotta think they're probably having another match, whether that's
setting stuff up,
yeah, whether that happens at SummerSlam, maybe at Survivor Series, because this would be Taker's 30th anniversary of The Undertaker, which is insane to think about. But yeah,
he never left.
So yeah, I don't have much else to talk about with that. And Matt, do you have anything else to add there?
Nope, I'm pretty
okay. And the final thing I wanted to discuss, Henry Cavill. He is supposedly getting back with at being Superman. He's apparently is now in contract talks to return with that role, but supposedly he, as of currently, they are not planning on having a Superman stand-alone film, but obviously things can obviously change. But I'm hoping that things get back on track, because I would like to see DC start to get some steam back, because I think we are getting some pretty consistent, really good films from them. Whether that is Shazam, Wonder Woman, and obviously Aquaman was also really good too as well.
When did this contract expire?
I'm not sure, and as I'm reading this year, it just says
I don't remember it expiring, but
no,
it could just be me forgetting.
I don't think his contract ever expired. I think he just said, "Hey, I'm not." I think they just stopped, or like he wasn't going to be doing any more films, just because he was upset with the creative direction.
That's the thing with like DC, like there's so much crap goes on that nothing's consistent, and you have this compared to Marvel, you have the same characters with maybe the exception of Hulk originally before they got the MCU. They stayed through for what, like a decade,
right, to
tell this big story, and then now culminate, and now they're gonna go. And they culminated, and either some people are leaving or whatever, but they're still maybe participating in an unlimited role, and they're still moving. With DC, it's like, okay, it's like they're doing everything ass backwards compared. And they've done they've had some great movies like Wonder Woman, Shazam.
Aquaman
really enjoyed, but it's like I kind of, maybe we are
spoiled
with the MCU, the MCU, and how everything is connected, and it seems like
continuity.
Yes,
and just like everything
with DC, it's kind of just like standalone.
Well,
which is not bad, but it
was just formatted and just presented all ass backwards, where like they wanted to just jump right into with the Justice League film and not give these individual characters their own stand-alone films, and then build to the Justice League.
It was okay. It was, you had the Superman, then you had Batman versus Superman with the new Batman that, which Affleck I think did well in that. It was okay. He did. Even though I like the Christian Bale Superman. Then it was like, okay, you got that. Then you got oh God, what's the bad guy movie? It's bad. I can't even think of it. Suicide Squad. That's what I think. Suicide. You just had all these random bad guys.
Will Smith as like Headshot and
Suicide Squad. We saw that. That came out of. I almost wish, at least for me, that it's not in depth in all these. It almost seemed like minor bad guy besides
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn and the Joker. Nobody wants to talk about ever again. It was kind of like just a random mishmash of people,
just basically thrown together at the very last second. And Zack Snyder, he got so much hate on everything. I just.
Even though
felt bad for the guy just because he was getting so much criticism, but
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. And then Justice League, it was just it was just like, hey, at the end of was it the end of Batman versus Superman? It was like we need to get everybody together.
Right. I'm like no.
Why?
No, you don't.
How did that make it doesn't?
How about we get a Aquaman?
Why? Why you need? How do you know all these people?
Shazam.
It's just
Flash. We haven't even gotten a Flash movie, and supposedly, who knows if that thing is ever coming out? So
it would be nice. You had the Wonder Woman thing, movie, and then you had Aquaman. Wonder Woman came after Justice League, right? Or was it before?
Yep. It came after, which by the way, it was DC's best film at that point, because then Shazam came afterwards, and then Aquaman came in, and you're like, man, these are some really good films. It's amazing what happens when Zack Snyder is not involved.
Yeah,
and these films are so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have those individuals in build to the Justice League, like Marvel built to the Avengers. It wasn't like. Iron Man, they had the one Iron Man and the Captain America, and then at the end of Captain America, it's like, we need to get everybody together. And then the next year's event.
The only they did not have stand-alone films for the Hulk.
Maybe before MCU. They had that one Hulk, which I still haven't seen, and then I guess
Black Widow and
Hawkeye.
And Hawkeye, Which honestly, you didn't really need them.
You're getting a standalone Black Widow eventually.
Hopefully sometime this year.
Or whenever. Yeah. But you had Iron Man, several Iron Man. You had 3 Iron Mans. You had the Captain Americas. You had, I think that was. What else? Who else was there? I think that was it, right?
Iron Man, Thor.
Yeah, Thor. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You had Thor. So you had, but what those movies did was they all slowly built, even end of credit scenes, built something. Like I think was at the end of one of Iron Man or Captain America. I can't think. They teased the Thor, the hammer. His hammer. I know the name slipped in my head, but I think they teased that it fell from the sky, right? So you teased that like, oh, there's Thor. It's all connected. It made it as one. So you wanted to see what was going to happen next, and they put it all pieces all together, and they brought the Avengers, and they brought everybody together. Right. I know not everybody had all the movies, but again, it shouldn't need everybody. Then eventually you had movies after that. Everybody was a part, like Civil War. Everybody was a part of it. You had like Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, just added a cast of characters. And again, I can't remember. Was Ant-Man that's first one? Was that before Civil War?
Could you say that
was the first Ant-Man movie before Civil War? The Civil War, he was in it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they introduced Ant-Man.
Yeah, because he was there. I can't remember.
So that thing that you introduced Ant-Man, like a character is not as popular as, say, a Captain America, or an Iron Man, or a Hulk, and it got him involved. Heck, Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe the most obscure ones out of the bunch, that I remember thinking, I don't know who these people are, but I watched it, immediately fell in love with those characters. Chris Pratt, Batista,
freaking Dave,
and
I am
Groot, and oh Jesus Christ! When we do these, I draw blanks. The raccoon.
Rocket.
Yeah. Holy crap! I
played by Bradley Cooper, by the way.
Right. Which he fell in love with those characters, and then finally all built up to Endgame and Infinity War, and DC still like trying to figure out what they're doing. Hopefully they get back together. If you make good movies, that's fine.
Right.
It's already established that everybody's in the same universe because they've already interacted. If it was almost like standalone stories, maybe it would be better, because I think they just went all Avengers on everybody right off the bat for Justice League, and now what do you do after? Do you do Justice League 2? As long as you redeem yourself and build something together, I think it's fine.
Yeah, just causes a whole bunch of.
I like how we went from Henry from Superman to all this.
Well, such is the case with this podcast, but I think but I think this is a good place to stop for this week. We actually went a lot longer than I was expecting. But
you thought we didn't have enough to talk about,
right? I thought so too. I thought it was going to be like hour tops. We probably went an hour and 30 here.
Yeah, it's an hour 31 right now.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, guys. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we drop these podcasts every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Also, stay tuned to our weekly AEW Dynamite and NXT reaction shows, and also we are planning on doing an NXT takeover in your house review, which is a week from tomorrow when this podcast drops.
We're going to be in somebody's house and review it.
Yep. And as always, make sure that you follow our Twitter page. As we said on the reaction show, we're going to be a lot more active on that. Matt is going to be tweeting live for SmackDown.
Hopefully now, because I got a Zoom meeting tomorrow at 7, so hopefully it's over by. Yeah. I could probably do it both as we do it, so I'm gonna try to. And
he's also going to try and do it sometimes on like a Raw too. I'm gonna be avoiding that just because I just cannot watch those shows, but
I'll be there. I don't know what you talk about SmackDown because it already happened by the time this comes out.
Yeah,
but hopefully when you watch this, I already tweeted.
Yeah. But so that is the plan, and obviously Matt and I will be pretty active on that page for both Dynamite and NXT. So give us a follow there, and as always, comment, subscribe, and give us a like, and outside of that, I think we will say goodbye, and we will see you guys on Wednesday. Take it easy.